Today, we're going to light up one of the biggest challenges in modern medicine, the aging brain. We're diving into some really fascinating research that asks a pretty wild question. Could something as simple as light hold a key to keeping our minds sharp as we get older? So let's start with the big picture here. We as a species are living longer than ever before. And while that's a massive achievement, it also brings a whole new set of challenges, especially when it comes to our brains. Just take a look at this number, 2.1 billion. By the year 2050, that's how many people are estimated to be over the age of 60. That's more than double what it was just back in 2015. This isn't some far-off sci-fi future. This is right around the corner. And that leads to a really personal question for all of us, right? It's amazing to have a longer lifespan, but what about our health span? Or even more specifically, our brain span? How do we make sure those extra years are good years, full of clarity and memory? Well, scientists are looking into some incredible ideas that don't involve popping a pill. And one of the most promising is a technology with a bit of a mouthful of a name, but a beautifully simple idea at its heart. It's called photobiomodulation. So what on earth is it? Okay, put simply, photobiomodulation, or PBM for short, just uses specific kinds of light in the red to near-infrared spectrum to basically give our cells a little kickstart. It's not a drug. Think of it more like a way to give our cells a direct energy boost, using nothing but light. But how? How does light recharge a brain cell? It honestly sounds like something out of Star Trek, but the science behind it is very real, and it's actually pretty cool. So let's break down what's happening at the microscopic level. Okay, so here's the whole chain reaction. It starts when that near-infrared light is applied to your head. The photons from the light actually travel right through your skin and skull and get absorbed by your cell's little power plants, the mitochondria. When that happens, it fires up this key enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase, or CCO. Activating CCO then ramps up the production of ATP, which is basically the universal fuel for all our cells. And the result? Your brain cells work better, they survive longer, and you even get more blood flow. I love this analogy. It's just perfect. If you think of your brain cells like tiny little smartphones that are running low on power, PBM is kind of like plugging them into a charger. The light itself isn't the energy, right? It's just the spark that gets the cell's own power plants, those mitochondria, to work harder and make more of their own fuel. Okay, so the theory sounds incredible, but the big question is, does it actually work? Let's take a look at what the research, both in animal models and in humans, is starting to tell us. So the evidence is really building on two fronts. In animal studies, scientists are seeing PBM do some amazing things, like improving memory, calming down inflammation in the brain, and boosting that core energy metabolism in the cells. And the really cool part is, we're starting to see these findings pop up in early human trials too, showing potential for things we can actually feel, like better attention, memory, and blood flow. Let's get a little more specific. One study from 2017 found PBM helped aging mice with their memory and actually boosted how well their mitochondria were working. Another study found it enhanced spatial memory and literally increased the amount of ATP energy in the hippocampus, which is a super important area for memory. And then a more recent one in 2021 found it not only helped aged rats with memory, but also lowered signs of inflammation. This is the kind of solid foundational science you want to see. And this is where it gets really exciting, seeing how this translates to people. One study with healthy elderly women saw more blood flow to the brain after just 4 weeks. Another one found that older adults got better at sustained attention and visual working memory. And a 2021 study basically confirmed the whole mechanism in humans, showing that PBM really does enhance that key enzyme CCO and boosts oxygen in the brain. Now, before we all run out looking for near-infrared helmets, there's a really important detail here. As with most things in science, it's not quite that simple. With PBM, one of the most critical factors is the dose, the amount of light. It matters a lot. The key idea here is something called a biphasic dose response. It's this classic principle in biology, and it basically means that a little bit of something can be really good, but a lot of it can actually become less effective or even work against you. The effect doesn't just keep getting stronger. It goes up, it hits a sweet spot, and then it comes back down. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is just the Goldilocks effect. Too little light and you get nothing. But too much light can actually shut down the very process you're trying to turn on. The dose has to be just right to get that perfect therapeutic benefit. And check this out. This chart from a 2012 study shows it perfectly in action. Researchers tested different doses of light to see how they affected that CCO enzyme activity. As you can see, the lowest dose gave the biggest boost, a 14% increase. But when they doubled the dose, the effect actually dropped. And at the highest dose, the boost was tiny. That is that inverted U shape right there, proving that with PBM, more is definitely not better. All right, so we've gone through the problem, the mechanism, the evidence, and the all-important details. So what are the big takeaways? What should we really remember about this whole idea? Let's just boil it down. First, PBM is a drug-free way to basically energize our brain cells. Second, it does this by targeting our mitochondria to crank out more of that cellular fuel, ATP. Third, the evidence from both animal and human studies is really starting to point toward real benefits for things like memory and attention. And finally, and this is so crucial, it all comes down to the dose. Finding that Goldilocks amount of light is absolutely key. And that kind of leaves us with this final, really tantalizing question. We are just at the beginning of figuring out this technology's full potential. But as the research keeps getting better and better at dialing in those perfect protocols and dosages, you just have to wonder, could something as basic as light really be a key to unlocking brain longevity for all of us?